everyone, my name is Mayari, and in this video I'll be going over the basics of mental health. So to start off, mental health and mental illness don't mean the exact same thing. A few people often confuse one for the other and use the terms interchangeably, but it is important to note that these two terms are different yet related. In other words, yes, mental health and mental illness are related yet distinct phenomena, and that it is possible that mental illness and mental health follow different trajectories across adulthood. This simply means that, for example, age groups that experience less mental illness do not necessarily experience better mental health. All this can get really confusing at first, so let's start by defining what mental health is, as well as identify the elements of mental health. The most common definition for mental health is the one provided by the World Health Organization, which states, "Mental health is a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to her or his community." It is also important to note that mental health is more than just the absence of mental illness. There are three elements to mental health born from both hedonic and eudaimonic perspectives on well-being, as well as the social functioning of individuals. The hedonic perspective on well-being prioritizes feelings of happiness, satisfaction, and interest in life, and will further be called emotional well-being. The eudaimonic perspective on well-being focuses on the realization of one's own potential and is also known as psychological well-being. Under psychological well-being, we have self-acceptance, purpose in life, autonomy, positive relations with others, environmental mastery, and personal growth. Additionally, there's also social well-being, which refers to the social functioning of an individual in terms of social engagement and societal embeddedness. This encompasses social coherence, social acceptance, social actualization, social contribution, and social integration. Moving on, let's actually try to define mental illness. According to the APA, a mental illness or a mental disorder is any condition characterized by cognitive and emotional disturbances, abnormal behaviors, impaired functioning, or any combination of these. A specific classification of the different mental disorders are elaborated in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or the DSM. Although mental disorders differ from one another, they have common elements which include dysfunction, distress, danger, and deviance. I won't be discussing these four elements too much because doing so would require me to talk more about psychopathology. That'll be in a separate video for another time. The most common way to represent the relationship between mental health and mental illness is through the dual continuum model by Keyes. This is also known as the dual factor model, the complete state model, and the two continua model. This model shows how it is possible to experience no symptoms for a mental illness, yet still be low on mental health. Moving on, what contributes to our mental health? To answer that, we'll use the biopsychosocial model of mental health. This posits that mental health and mental illness is an interaction of different biological, psychological, and social factors. These biological factors include genetics and brain chemistry, for example. As for the social factors, this could possibly include your family relationships, as well as your interaction with your environment and the people around you. Lastly, the psychological factors could include how we interpret events to signify something about ourselves. It is important to note that it is unlikely for one thing to contribute to one's mental well-being or mental illnesses. The causes of mental health disorders are complex and varied. Although biological factors may play a role, they are not the only influence. Social and psychological factors should also be taken into consideration. And that does about it for this video. I hope the concepts were understandable. I tried to explain these in the simplest way possible. If you want to read more, I've linked down the sources that I've used when making this video. Aside from that, there was one study I forgot to include but still found very interesting, so if you want to have a look at that as well, then everything can be found in the description down below. And of course, thank you so much for watching this video and see you next time.